I'm Ken Fjord. Last year, I wrote a book for my son entitled The Graysonian Ethic, Lessons for My Unborn Son, in the months before he was born. Once he was born, I published the book on Amazon. He's now a happy bouncing baby, and I've decided to release the audiobook version for free on YouTube. Build something. One message I have wanted to make sure to get across to you is this. I'm your father. What do you think that means once you walk through the front door and into the real world? The answer is nothing. By the time you are on your own, I will be 60. I will be retiring or retired. And I won't have a bunch of extra money to support you. I will be already well past fading into my elder years, so I probably won't be beautiful. I won't be as smart as I once was. I won't be as strong as I was at my peak. You must build something for yourself because otherwise you will have nothing. You do not come from a rich family, you come from a long line of proud tradesmen who build things. So get out there and build something. For anyone who has their youth still and their natural talents, whether they be strength, intelligence, looks, whatever you have, build something. It does not matter what your natural talent, it will fade. In our superficial world, everyone knows about looks. That eventually you are not a hot young thing anymore. But eventually your looks fade. And you better hope you build something because if you did not, then you won't have anything. If you are intelligent, let me warn you, as you get older your mind slows down. You will hit a peak, and you will have to work a little harder every year. You will be a little dimmer every year. You will have to fight to remember that fact a little more every year. And eventually your intelligence will fade, and you better hope you build something because if you did not, you won't have anything. If you are strong, let me warn you, as you get older, your body will lose its strength. You will be stronger than anyone, but as time goes on you won't be able to keep up with the exercise. You won't be able to work hard enough, and some brat will come up behind you and overwhelm you. And you better hope you build something because if you do not, you won't have anything. Over the years you can build wisdom, a body of knowledge and experience that does not rely on pure intelligence. You can build relationships, bonds with other people that do not rely on looks. You can build gravitas, the ability to get people's attention without relying on strength. You can build the next generation, a chance to live on in what you impart upon those who come after you. You can even build resources, a bunch of stuff so you do not need to live hand to mouth. There are many more ways you can build something, but it does not really matter as much as just building something. We are seeing it right now, a generation that was never told tomorrow would come, who was always told they were the future without ever being told that someday that future would come and you better be ready. Who was never told there would be consequences to squandering their gifts. They get older, their natural gifts fade. They never built anything. They panic and they get really angry. When I was young and starting my career, I was told all the time the baby boomers will be retiring soon, and then there is going to be a bunch of jobs out there. It was always a thing that was coming, a thing that was on its way, and there were people who complained that they had not retired yet. Well, that day has arrived, and there are all kinds of jobs for someone who has built something, but most people haven't built any of it. It does not matter if the boomers retire for these people because those people are not in any position to be hired for these jobs. It does not matter the opportunity because they never built anything. Young men who are not successful with women have taken to hating themselves and claiming they will never accomplish anything. They call themselves incel, a portmanteau of involuntary celibate. These people have the opposite problem. They do not realize that they can build something. Often, they have been beaten down and told they cannot. They have been told that they will always be losers and that they should not even try to be anything but. This is a tragedy, because we all have the potential to build something. Thinking that we will always be what we are now is a bad thing for the gifted. But it is also a bad thing for the ungifted. If you put in the effort, you can build something even if you feel like you are useless today. When I had just graduated from college, I did not have any experience with women. It is a dirty little secret of high achievers that a lot of high achievers have trouble with women at first. It is obvious when you think about it. You are spending your time studying and working. It does not leave a lot of time for socializing. I went through the usual advice, and it all looked useless to me. Be yourself, be confident, go outside. I was lacking in first principles long before this. I did not have a basis to start understanding things. One day I was in a new apartment waiting for the internet to be hooked up, and I was going through the files on my hard drive looking for something interesting, and I happened upon a book called The Game, which detailed a group of men who tried to figure out how to seduce women. The book was a start of a path where I spent a lot of time watching videos, reading books, visiting websites, and unraveling the body of knowledge therein. I'm not going to claim I was shameless. It was something I did because I knew I needed to change to get what I wanted out of life. I called it worms. There was a lot of garbage in the course materials. You would learn a bunch of routines and the like that you could potentially use to hone the stuff that mattered. Your voice, your posture, the little tricks of how you were being to become more attractive. There were a lot of different challenges too, walking up to strangers and striking up a conversation, pushing yourself to go out, pushing yourself to constantly be doing something interesting whether you had a date or not so you could bring someone along if the opportunity arose. They spent a lot of time discussing the reality of being a woman, that a beautiful woman constantly had different men hitting on them and they could not possibly date everyone, and most men are boring. Slowly, I was able to build a model of women in my mind, and by predicting things a lot better, I was able to understand where I was being ridiculous and thinking my previous tactics would work. I already knew all the individual facts. The worms brought them together into a framework. Eventually I started finding dates, and I dated a number of women before I finally met your mother. We fell in love, got married, and a whole new story started. It took time and effort, but I built something. There are a lot of people who would claim I was immoral for reading that book, for watching those videos, for searching those websites, that I was being manipulative or something. But the fact is the world is a better place because I put the work in. It is because I put the work in that you exist. Imagine if I took the advice of those who created the incels, and just sat back and accepted my fate as a loser. I would have missed out on a lot of fun times. I would have missed out on a lot of personal fulfillment. And your mom would be in a much different place in life too. Probably not nearly as happy having not fallen in love with your dad. On the other side of the spectrum are a lot of beautiful women who have never been told that their natural gift is a limited resource for them. Society tells these women they are empowered by spending their days squandering their gifts. They should go out and have meaningless relationships. They should go do loot things for play money. They should fight meaningless battles over nothing. Such people would say the last thing a woman should ever do is think about her future. And what happens when time catches up to her? To beautiful women, I suggest that whatever you want to do with your life, as long as it is meaningful, that is okay by me. If you want to be a scientist or a politician, or if you want to be a mother, or if you want to become an engineer or an artist, that is okay. The important thing is that you build something, and a lot of the women of my generation spent their youth making fun of other women for not just doing whatever they wanted with no thought for the future. Many of those same women came to regret it, because when their natural gifts faded, none of the relationships they nurtured were healthy ones, and they had not gained any meaningful wisdom because they were surrounded by sycophants who always told them they were right because when you are young and beautiful and smart that is easy to do, and they had not saved anything for the future. It is okay to be frivolous sometimes, but you have to keep in mind that the frivolous days cannot last forever. Whether you are a man or a woman, you should be thinking long term. Defer gratification when you are young, because as you get older your responsibilities grow every year. Eventually you are defined by them, and you won't have opportunities to grow in the same way again. In my 20s, there were people who were always talking about going back to school, but they either never did or they never really put the effort into it. A lot of them struggled all their lives because they had to compete with the next batch of 20-somethings who did commit to school. It is okay to want to have kids, but remember that is a long-term commitment, and it is going to define your life as soon as it happens. Generally speaking, you won't be going to college, or university, or you will be taking a low-paying job to work your way up the ladder once that happens. If you have set yourself up a bit before you try for kids, you are going to have a simpler life. As well, there are a lot of sources that are going to try to talk you out of having kids ever. They will say it is immoral because the world has resource limitations. They will say it'll cramp your style. If you are a man, they will say your lady will hit you for child support, and if you are a woman, they will say your man will leave without paying you any child support. These are all abstract arguments at best, and I think they are best ignored. Make sure you are with a good partner before you consider kids, and you won't need to worry so much about your partner leaving you in a bad way. I bet you are an amazing person and your time on this earth is limited. So having kids is a way to make sure you can live on in a way. I'm writing this book in part so that maybe I can live on inside of you by trying to pass whatever I have learned on to you. Humans have had many evolutionary advantages over the millennia. Today humanity is not only the smartest creature on the planet, we have uniquely powerful language skills. We are uniquely powerful tool users. But our first advantage evolved on the savannah. The reason humanity is not hairless apes is that our bodies are covered in sweat glands, and our entire body is an endurance machine. Our upright locomotion, the way our hips are set up, the way we can sway our arms, it is all set up so we are capable of running longer than most any other creature. We were able to chase down prey until it became exhausted and we could catch up to get a meal. That was the first step on our way to our current situation. That endurance persists in our psyche. Most creatures on Earth might plan ahead for a season, possibly a year. Humans can plan ahead decades, and they can stick with those plans for those decades. It is that ability to plan so far, and to work for years to achieve a master plan that lets us have the most incredible lifestyle of any creature, even compared to other reasonably intelligent creatures. You are a human, so act like it. Plan, follow your plan, and build something. If you are like the mosquito and think only for the moment, or if you are like the bird and plan only for the season, then you are going to wake up one day and realize you have lost everything you had and you cannot get it back. Thanks for listening to this chapter of the Graysonian Ethic, Lessons for My Unborn Son. If you like the book and would like a physical copy or an electronic copy, please look it up. It's available on Amazon around the world. Barring that, please like and share with others. I'll be releasing one chapter every week, so if it hasn't been completely released. If you're interested in hearing more, you can subscribe to see when I post additional chapters.